Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I am your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Folks, we're going to be hanging out with you for about 90 minutes today. We have a couple of really, really big topics to get into. And of course, one is one that we kind of discussed yesterday. And when I say we, Crispy Bomb and Paris Lily hung out yesterday, and we responded and reacted to the Laura Fryer video where she basically really said, I mean, it's in the title, folks. She said Xbox hardware is dead. And now again, granted, I said it yesterday, and I will reiterate it. She is an intelligent woman. She does YouTube videos on a regular basis. It's not her first foray. She has big opinions, and she has been a part of the industry in super big ways. More specifically, Jamie Moran, she has worked for Xbox in big capacities for quite a number of years before leaving to do other things. Now, again, like we clarified yesterday, she has not been with the company in over a decade. She did help launch the Xbox, the OG Xbox, the Xbox 360, and she was a producer on several big titles, Gears of War being one of them. So she has a lot of experience in the industry. The only thing that and again, those are a couple of things that I pushed back for yesterday. And again, you already heard what I had to say, so I'm not gonna pile on the rabbit, so to speak. I do want to hear from the elusive gamer, aka Jamie Moran, and of course, when we get Infinite Umber in here, I want to get his thoughts on it. But I do find the Xbox is dead. The Xbox is not doing hardware. Xbox is, should revert to their old ways. They should pick a lane. They don't have an identity. One thing I did not get a chance to talk about is those quotes from Mike Ybarra, another former Xbox executive, and one of which that was with the company 2 times. One with Xbox before leaving for Blizzard, and then when Blizzard Activision was purchased, became an employee of Microsoft once again and was sent packing. Now we don't know whether or not he was fired or he was, just left because he didn't want to work with Microsoft. But we do know that he is one of the executives, and $1 million executive, P.S. by the way, Jamie, that told us that there should be ways to tip the developers if you like a game, which again, that is ridiculous because you buy a game, you enjoy the game. That is how you celebrate the hard work of a developer. You buy their game, you talk about their game, you play their game. I don't tip developers because I've already paid for the product. And well, there's that. Jamie, how you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm good, man. Happy to be here. It's been a good week for video games outside of the Xbox having to confirm once again that hardware is coming. But other than that, it's been good. Been playing a lot of Final Fantasy. Put out a video last night. It's a good time.
Indeed, there is a lot, and July is no slouch. There are a lot of games coming to all the platforms. And again, I'm very excited for Donkey Kong Bonanza. I bought a copy for me and T already. Tyler, my nephew. I got the matching amiibo for it for both of us. So I'm very excited for that because, I'm a big Nintendo nerd. But there's a lot of really great Xbox games coming out. I can't wait to play them. But Infinite Umber, how are you, kind sir? Great to see you. I know it's got to be just as hot in Chi-Town as it here in New Rochelle, New York. Again, you weren't here for the opening, I guess, spiel. But we are going to be talking about how Xbox and its hardware are dead again. We have Laura Fryer, that made a video that set the interwebs on fire over the weekend. We also have some commentary from Mike Ybarra, another former executive that says that Xbox needs to pick a lane, and it's sad that they don't have an identity. I think they know exactly who they are. We'll get into that. And, of course, second half of the show, folks, oh, my God. Last week we asked, what is happening with Halo? Well, I have a press release thanks to Rebs Gaming, who reported earlier, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, that there would be a big reveal coming during the Halo Championships later this year in October. Well, folks, that has been confirmed. They're going to show us what they've been doing on several of the Halo projects. I could not be more excited to talk about Halo because, man, Master Chief and Halo multiplayer and, potentially maybe a side project could be unveiled this October. But Umber, how you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Hey, Boom. What's up? Good morning, Jamie. Good morning, and I guess afternoon to whoever else is in the audience in the chat. Yeah, man. Happy to be here with you guys today. I got a bit of a nap in before the show, so I should be good to go. Yeah, I definitely want to chop it up about the whole, I guess, PlayStation, our Who Brothers muse with Lord Fryer. It's amazing how everybody just see, she said this, so that must mean
you must promise me to do that voice because in my mind now that's how they sound. Thank you for that.
I could do the super nerdy one I did the last time.
Yeah, that was pretty
I
good.
told you guys.
Yeah, but yeah, man, it's like Xbox had. I mean, Xbox must be like, I don't know, like Deadpool or something. They've rejuvenated every time. It's like, oh, they're dead, and they keep coming back, and so they just keep regenerating. I don't understand it, but yeah, definitely happy to be here with you guys today.
Well, listen, we're glad to have you both here to talk about the stuff. And you know what, again, folks, let's get right into what happened over the weekend. Now, again, Laura Fryer, if you don't know who she is, she was an executive and a big part of the co-development of the original Xbox that launched in 2001. She was also a big part of the Xbox 360, and she helped produce several games before leaving for WB Games, and eventually, I believe, Epic Games is where she ended up. I don't know if she's still there. I didn't look too much into it, but I know that she's had a storied history in gaming. She is no stranger to how to make games, how to make hardware, how to sell hardware, and the idea of, community and consoles. But again, she dropped a video that I think really, what it did is it ignited the conversation of what Xbox is doing now and in the future. I personally think it's already been explained enough times for me, and I'm not being a suck ass or anything. I'm just saying that Sarah Bond literally has come out and did a video talking about the partnership with AMD and what that's going to do for the next generation consoles with an S. Now, what those consoles are, one is definitely under a box under your TV. The other one is still the one that we're not sure. Is it a traditional handheld like the ROG Ally Xbox, the Xbox Ally? I don't know. Is it the rumored, dockable, type of console that could be the S version of next generation for Xbox? Well, we don't know, but we do know that they have consoles coming out. We also had the head of AMD, come out and say and talk about the partnership, the strategic partnership of building the next Xbox consoles. So with all of that information, Jamie Moran, why is the press, why are some of we know why the trolls do it, but even some people that you would think they wouldn't, act like trolls, right? They wouldn't have this disingenuous behavior. We've seen some really, really poor takes. And one of which, and again, Laura is someone that understands how to ship a console. Even though she has not been there in 10 years, decade plus, I think with her intelligence, she could easily understand why Xbox is doing what they're doing. And the simple answer is they're in third place. And their traditional way of selling consoles failed. So they needed to react and do something different and not just keep hitting your head against a wall. Listen, this is the reality it is. But there were two specific points that I totally disagreed with during the Laura Fryer video. One of which was who is the ROG Xbox Ally for? And that person you're looking at is me, because it's a traditional handheld console, but it offers the best of both worlds, in my opinion. You're getting Steam and Epic Game Store and Good Old Games access. You're also getting a boot up screen that looks and acts like an Xbox that I have right here under my TV. That is what that's who this is for. And the other thing that this is where I draw the pushback, or I give the pushback, so to speak, is the Xbox hardware is dead when we know that it's not. Why say that? She's aware of what they're doing. It's out in the ether. Everyone knows, Jamie Moran, that they're making next generation hardware. So those are my pushbacks. And I think what's worse is seeing people actually run with this. Like, oh, look, see, she said no hardware. Well, the last time I checked, she didn't work for Microsoft in over a decade. I mean, yes, this is her opinion. Yes, she's a super smart woman. Yes, she's in the business, but she's wrong. Let's get your thoughts, man.
I'll get the ROG thing out quick because I've got a lot to say. So, I over the past week, 2 weeks, I've heard a million times, like, who's this ROG Xbox Ally for? It can't play games natively. But what's the PS Portal for? It can't play games natively. Nobody bats an eye. In fact, it can't play any game natively. It's basically an Android tablet with controls slapped on the side, which you have to be connected to the internet to play games on. So why aren't people asking the same question for that? Because to play games via streaming, you can just play things on your phone and use your current controller. So why would you fork out £200 for this extra device that you technically do not need? Nobody's asking that question. This ROG, it's a PC handheld. It has Xbox features, and people are just stumped. Like, you put an Xbox button on a device, and everyone's wondering, what the hell's this? It's blown my mind, because, like, I've never seen so much pushback on anything like this, right? And I wasn't going to say this during the show, Boom, but I will say it anyway. It goes back to the whole DRM thing, right? Yep. Microsoft announced their console in 2013. There was this huge blowback on their console because of DRM. And granted, the way they announced it, people didn't know. Was it a 12-hour check-in, 24-hour check-in? But do you know what happened that November? The console that actually released, didn't have DRM, right? But for years and years, and we were all there, people pushed back on it, saying, oh, it's a DRM console. And Nintendo, just a couple of months ago, announced that their console is going to have these things called game keys, right? Literal DRM cartridges. And the console came out like a month ago or whatever, and DRM all over the place, and nobody bats an eye. They got away with this. They got away with DRM linked to cartridges, right? Microsoft's console at launch in 2013 didn't have DRM. And they had pushback for an entire generation, to the point where people today still say, "Oh, Xbox DRM 2013." Right? It's mind blowing. Like, I don't know why people just want to complain all the time. Like, the ROG is a PC. It has Xbox like features. I don't understand why people seem confused by this. And I've seen people say, like, why would you get this if you're an Xbox consumer? It's like, well, what if you play a lot of first-party Xbox games? What if you want to play streaming and you happen to play Xbox PC games anyway? So it's like, and as I've said before, it's not for everyone. An ROG Ally in general isn't for everyone. And people just seem confused. And I like I said before the show started, I think we're at a point where, we had the summer showcase. Xbox had a really good time, a lot of cool games there, and people are just looking for things to complain about, because gamers, for some reason, need to latch on to something to complain about. They can't celebrate the games. They can't just talk about the games that's out right now. Everything has to be complaining over and over and over again about crap we already know about. Is Xbox going to, like, literally, Sarah Bond was in a video last week telling us they are working on next-gen consoles, plural, and then a week later, people are like, but are we really going to get next-gen consoles? Like, I'm absolutely stumped. Like, how many times, and Stein on Twitter literally had to post last night and highlighted the word consoles, plural, in the press release. How many times do we need to be told that there's more hardware coming? Hell, at this point, we could literally see a video of a dude in a factory making a next-gen Xbox, and people will still question whether it's happening or not. It's happening time and time again. And do you know what? Do you know what's funny? Nobody's asking PlayStation this stuff, right? Where's their roadmap, right? They talked about the PlayStation 6, but there's no games to play on it. I'm joking. There's 1 or 2 games in the works, but like nobody's asking these questions. Hell, Marathon got delayed a couple of weeks ago, which a game I was actually looking forward to.
You didn't hear a peep, brother.
Yeah,
not a singular peep.
Yeah. Oh, Jeff Keighley forgot to post about that as well, I believe. Like, nobody's asking these important questions. How many times do we need to hear, okay, the Xbox is coming? Like, and I hate saying this. I say time and time again, why, like, these consoles cost billions and billions to make, right? And why would Microsoft invest billions in new hardware, new console generation, just to pull the plug? And the only thing people can come up with on Twitter is that, but Phil Spencer said in the past 4 games, right? It's hardly the same thing, is it? Right? Microsoft is, quote unquote, money hungry. So why would they invest billions into devices when they have no intention of supporting them? I know I'm all over the place today, but I'm just really annoyed.
No, it's fine, brother. It's a conversational podcast. Please, by all means, go crazy.
We literally had a really good showcase, right? Two games people have been wanting to come over to Xbox for a long time, with Final Fantasy VII Remake and 16. Finally get announced to come to Xbox. They had a good lineup. This year is absolutely stacked for video games, and people continuing to question whether next-gen hardware is actually going to be a thing. Why? We've been told time and time again. How many more times do we need to hear it? Right? And that video by Sarah Bond last week, when did that video come out? It came out a day after, on 1 or 2 days after, the people in the community start questioning, is Xbox leaving the console business? This topic is coming up every week, every single week, right? The ROG Ally Xbox. Oh, this is just going to be what Microsoft does from now on, even though they bloody confirmed that they're working with AMD on first-party hardware. Is anybody else sick and tired of this? Every bloody week, we're hearing the same thing over and over again. We aren't talking about the really cool releases coming up. We aren't talking about, hey, why is PlayStation why do they don't have a roadmap? Why can't we just talk about the games that Xbox is coming out with right now? No. We have to always talk about, because the clickbaiters, and I will mention these people if I have to. I don't like mentioning names, but I will. Like, people pulling these cringe face, thumbnails saying Xbox is dead again for the 1,000th time. I've been an Xbox fan since day one, right? 20 plus years. And 25 years now. How many times have we heard over that time, Xbox is dead, right? I remember back in the OG days, right? I remember back then, we were hearing, oh, that was going to be the only Xbox they did. And what did they do? They come out with the 360, right? Time and time again, the Xbox One. Remember in 2011, 2012, people were getting really tired of that generation, wanting new hardware. And there was rumors that there wasn't going to be another Xbox. Like, and the funny thing is, all the people that come out with this crap, these are the same people that were complaining about Microsoft buying Activision because they were going to have a monopoly, right? But they so want Microsoft to get out the console business.
They do. They absolutely do.
And it's blatantly obvious. We can all see it, right? And it's like, one, why aren't these people, I saw it in the chat, why aren't these people talking about Death Stranding 2? Right? Why aren't we talking about, the huge slate of games coming? It's always about Xbox leaving the hardware business, because it's always brought up. And like, having people from Xbox's past bring up, and by the way, these people that used to work for Microsoft, they always come off as bitter exes.
Yes, they really do.
Like, extremely bitter exes. They had a really bad breakup. It was public in a pub, right? Everyone saw it happen. and people were like really crazy about it for years. This is what they act like, and people just run with this. Like, and as I posted last night, you have three options. Do you either listen to people that haven't worked at Xbox in years, listen to people that always talk about Xbox but don't care about Xbox, or people that work at Xbox telling us they are making next-gen consoles, and people just don't want to listen to that third option, the bloody obvious option. It's tiring. I feel like I'm aging quicker every time this topic pops up because I have to come out and say the same crap. I have to be the voice of reason. I don't want to be the voice of reason. Like every bloody time. I'm sick and tired of it. Now, I'm excited for gaming. Don't get me wrong. I've even said like the ROG Xbox Ally, it's not for me. And when Xbox does a native first party handheld, then we'll talk. But that's the beauty of it. Not all these devices have to be for everyone. It's like that for anything, right? The Xbox Series S, it's a great console, but it's not for me. And as people can tell, I'm probably annoyed. It doesn't help that it's a billion degrees and I'm melting here, but I think I think we're all getting sick and tired of this thing being brought up. People, and by the way, Mike Ybarra, I honestly don't understand why he's so bitter. Yes, he technically got fired from Microsoft twice. Oof. But my God, like I've never seen anyone so bitter about Microsoft. Like someone that apparently loved Xbox, they loved being part of the community, and they want to do everything in their power to just get rid of it. Like, come on, it's just tiring at this point.
No, I mean, you bring up great points, and you mentioned Mike Ybarra, so let me bring up some of the things that he said, so we can have some fun with what Infinite Umbra is going to say regarding the whole situation. Now, granted, we still have to hear from Umbra regarding what Laura Fryer had to say in her video, but again, this is two former executives that worked at Xbox at one point or another. One of which worked multiple times for Microsoft because of acquisitions and things. He's no longer with the company. That is, of course, Mike Ybarra, and of course, no ill will towards Mike. I mean, I've talked with him in DMs. He was on my show once, many years ago. But I gotta be honest with you. Some of his statements that follow this video are, wow, they're pretty head scratching. So he goes on to say, and of course, I have a bullet point so we don't spend too much time on me reading everything he had to say. I have a few. He says it's tough to see Xbox confused about who it is and what they should be. Xbox should pick your lane and stick to it instead of trying to be the jack of all trades. He goes on to say in two other things here, Xbox should strive to be the world's largest publisher of entertainment content, focusing on publishing games across multiple platforms. And lastly, from what I see, they're no longer that, implying Xbox is no longer solely a console manufacturer. Well, yeah, no kidding. He's an executive. He worked for Xbox. He worked for Blizzard. He was the president of Blizzard Entertainment. He understands the business. This is why these statements and this whole thing come off as disingenuous, folks. Again, no one's attacking these people for having opinions, but to be quite fair, Umbra, they are smart executives who understand the business. And if a boob like me can understand the dollars and cents of what's going on and why Xbox took the path that they're currently on, they gotta know, right, Umbra? They have to know that they were in third place. They failed at selling this generation's hardware. They have no choice but to put games on other places. Why? Well, one of the main reasons I would imagine is to keep Game Pass sustainable, and it is, right? They're according to numerous documents, they are, it's been said, it's not confirmed yet, but because we have to end the year, but they are projected to have made $5 billion with Xbox Game Pass this year, and this is a company that spends and invests $1 billion into getting games into the service. So if you make a $4 billion profit on your streaming service, I think you're doing okay. Let's get your thoughts on, bro.
It's something to be said. I think Jamie hit it all on the head, and I know the chat is going wild on it too. I saw one comment about being first place and whining about the third place winner or whatever, or person that placed in the race, and that's absolutely correct. But I want to say, like with Yabara, for instance, and no shade to him, but at this point, you have to know the man is salty at Xbox, right? I think you have to know that salty at Microsoft, should I say?
Yeah, of course.
Like every comment he's made has been kind of a little side, a little side jab, and he dresses it up a little nicely, like, oh well, you could be this, you stay in your lane. It's always a little subtle jab, I think, that kind of tips his head. You know what I mean? And my thing is, listen, if you feel bitter about whatever, because we don't know all the ins and outs in the business and the things that happen behind the scenes, maybe he's validated to have that feeling, right? But you can tell that's where it's from, and the reason why I can tell it where it's from, aside from him always coming out when there is doom talk, is that he doesn't ever have any of this when it's anybody else. He's never having any of these, written replies when Sony is dry and has no games and no plans for, or they've had to sell off, or at least not sell off, but close down these studios and things. It's always Xbox, and maybe that's because he worked directly for Microsoft, to be fair, but I think it feels a little disingenuous. Whatever the case, my thing is this: I take with a large grain of salt, because he's been doing it for so long that I'm already kind of like, I don't expect you to say anything too well for them. Now, Laura's a bit of a different monster, right? She was one of the founding, members of the Xbox team with the, she has a lot under her belt. Not to say that he doesn't, but she has a lot under her belt from different games she worked on with, and even the development of XNA and things like that, which is now defunct. But I think that a lot of this comes from, have you all ever heard somebody, like an older person, typically like an older dude, talk about things in the past and how now things have changed, so now they must fail, or it's not good anymore, or back in my day, right? The old classic, right? And that's what she comes off like, back in my day. And I don't know if any of this is tinged to draw people to her channel. I don't know that. I don't want to try to disparage her, but I feel like when you say certain comments, it comes off as clickbaity just a bit. When she says, for instance, that she believes Xbox hardware is dead and that they're slowly exiting the hardware business. Well, to be fair, I think many of us have come to the conclusion, at least I've said this before, that the next gen Xbox may be its last one, specifically from Microsoft, right? And maybe they'll go another way with the OEMs and have hardware made by other developers or other, makers, if you will. So I think that's somewhat fair when if you framing it off of the thought of maybe after next gen, but she's saying it's dead in general. She says, hey, Xbox hardware is dead. There is no next gen. Essentially, that's what she was saying. That's coming, and in that I disagree, and we have great reason to know and to disagree. And I mean, very clearly, when you have, what is Sarah Bond's position? I forget. What is her position right now?
She would be the president of Xbox, sir.
Yeah. You have the president of Xbox. It came out in a video talking of the partnership with her, them and AMD.
And didn't the head of AMD follow that?
They did.
Up with a
shout out to Lisa Su. Absolutely, she did. Or as Paris would call her, Lisa Wu. But Sarah Bond came out and said that it was a strategic multi-year partnership, right? And that's for next generation consoles, handhelds, and accessories. So it's actively in development. I don't understand how you could hear that or read that, because there's a transcript for it too, I believe on Xbox Wire, and then be like, oh, that's not that. Then that means it's over with. Like, how did you see that? I don't know how anyone saw that and didn't connect the dots.
Exactly. Yes.
Personally, to me, that just confirmed at the very least we would have at least one more generation directly from Microsoft themselves, at the very least. and it says next generation consoles, right? So that speaks to multiple and handhelds and accessories, things of that nature. So I don't know. I mean, listen, I'm speaking of this and largely, and I say this with respect, from somebody who has gravitated more to PC simply because I wanted the best performance, period. I didn't want to miss out on anything. I want the best performance. Well, I wouldn't miss out on anything. I got everything, so I wouldn't miss out anyway. Mostly performance. That was it for me. I wanted to be able to play the games at their best, at all the frames per second and all that good stuff, right? And I did it just before Hellblade 2. And was I glad that I did, because it looked magnificent and played magnificently on this PC here. And that's not to shade the Xbox, because I played it on there too and it did well. So that was my reasoning. So I'm saying all of this to point out, like, I believe in what Microsoft is crafting here going forward. And I think everybody, honestly, if you're an Xbox gamer, even if you're not an Xbox gamer, I think this should be something that you should be potentially excited about, with them bringing all these different storefronts to the next gen. I just think it's really cool. So one of her views too was that since they're moving to this ROG Xbox Allies, that it's a slow exit, I believe was her words. Am I correct? A slow exit from hardware. My thing is that them moving on and leaving or abandoning the Xbox, or them making a strategic move or strategic pivot to be to have their hardware options everywhere. And that seems to be the case for them. I mean, the whole "this is an Xbox" advert is the basis of them you being able to play your Xbox games on anything. So why then does that come to this is an exit versus this is a strategic move or pivot and different marketing choice to bring at least to bring the ecosystem to more places? That's the thing I get from it. So not only will we have obviously the Xbox branded Asus, right? You'll likely have that with, Alienware or something like that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you'll have all these other different things, Samsung, so I feel like, I think it's short-sighted to be like, oh, it's just an exit. Again, it could be. I just feel like it's a little too dismissive considering everything they got their hands in with how they're moving.
Well, it's dismissive in a way that's disingenuous, because she understands the business. And even though she hasn't been there in a decade plus, I mean, it's out there what they're doing, and more specifically, why they're doing it. This isn't a surprise. This isn't just, they didn't just pull the blanket over your head like, it's surprise we're doing this. This has been in they've enacted this for years.
Yeah, they have. And I mean, like the whole trend of the whole thing about Microsoft has been for a long time now about you being able to have their ecosystem wherever you're at, right? Wherever you go. And I mean, to be fair, I'll say this as a caveat, of course, for those who will say, well, I don't have my library over here. That's the hill they have to climb to get over, right? That much is true. If you can't access your library, for sure, I understand 100% if you're saying it's not really an Xbox if I don't have my games. Fair. Not arguing that. That's what they're going to, though, right? That's where they're going. That's where they're headed. Might not be there just yet, but that's where they're headed. So once that happens, what's the argument then? Well, it's not made by Microsoft, though.
That's exactly what they're going to say. They're going to go, well, it's not really an Xbox because and it was really weirdest things, the weird energy stuff that I've heard is it's not a console.
Skytech made it, though. I don't care. Yeah. Can I play everything there and access my Xbox library and everything? I'm good to go. Don't care. And I think anyone fixating on that is going off some traditional nonsense in their head, and they haven't evolved and moved past that either. I don't care. To me, I think that a lot of the times when we get into these debates, it's because of, and Laura falls into this, Miss Fryer here, she falls into that. It's an argument off of traditional settings when Microsoft is like in the year 3000 already. It's like that's not what they're doing. They're not doing traditional stuff anymore. They've moved past that. They made a different change. They want flexibility. That's why they have the handheld, or at least with Asus, a partnership. They want that flexibility. They want to be able to be like a Steam Deck, or you know what I mean, or Switch, where you can have access to it even on the go. That's the smart move. Hell, we already hear rumors of PlayStation having a handheld, right? Or maybe confirmed. But so we know that's what's happening. So I don't understand the thought of, well, if they're going to this, that means that's the exit. Again, even if that's your argument, and it does happen to be that way, and third-party OEMs make the shell that will be the Xbox, and you'll get various forms of that shell for performances. I don't understand how that is even a bad thing, because you're still, the only argument is, well, it's not made by Microsoft. I don't care. And I think those who are wondering this way, or at least those who are maybe being pulled in the direction of people who argue that way, need to not care either. I don't think it matters. I wouldn't care as so long as it works right. And if I have any issues with it, they're going to fix it. That's it. And, you know, so long as I can access my entire library and I can play my Xbox games on it and PC games, of course, from Epic and GOG and everything, I couldn't give a damn.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing that I don't understand the argument. Well, they might but it'll be OEM. Okay. So going back to that too, she made something about, I think it was about them moving away from hardware because of the $80 price tag for like the Outer Worlds too. I had this discussion with Kay and the fellas on Discord, on the GCP Discord the other day. One of the things I said, and this is off topic slightly, you all remember when Pete Hines was saying some stuff and everybody got on his head top when he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, PlayStation gamers," and all that. It was like, what you apologize? What you
ridiculous?
Why are you apologizing? Remember that, right? And all of us got that way because it's like you're talking out of turn. For one, if they made this purchase, you should have conferred with them. You don't need to go out there making these statements to PlayStation gamers. And so this situation with the Outer Worlds too, just as an aside, you had, I believe, Obsidian, sorry, that came out and spoke on it and was like, we didn't pick the price. I would have been on their head top too. Why are you talking to the press and telling them anything? We didn't pick the price. Okay. So what? Shut up. That's not for you to go out there and do. Just as an aside. But the bigger point out to make on that is an $80 price tag is not only them going with the trends of other platform holders, such as Nintendo, obviously, who said it first, but Microsoft seems to get the shade, because I still don't understand how anyone can argue Mario Kart World is worth $80. I'm sorry. I've played it. I got it.
Great game, but not $80.
Not that damn great.
It's just not.
And I don't think any game is that great personally, but that said, so they're doing it. Sony is obviously going to follow. They're not going to stay at 70. Anybody is saying that they will are delusional. They're going to go to that, and then you probably going to have Rockstar go to 100, as has been theorized many times for Grand Theft Auto 6, right? So one of the things about the $80 price tag is that, oh, this is evidence of pushing people towards subscriptions. Well, duh. Of course, that's what they're doing. Everything they did with this onslaught of games they've given us this year is to say, hey, you can get all these goodies right here if you just subscribe to Game Pass. Everything they've been doing is to push you to subscription. So of course,
you know what? Can I add some context to what you're talking about? Because you started making this bridge, and I want to help you finish it. Because here's the thing: if they moved to $80, and they weren't first to do it, first it was Nintendo of all freaking publishers to do it. It's shocking, but Nintendo did it. Will EA get there? Yes. Will Take-Two get there? Yes. Will PlayStation? Freaking absolutely. That's not even a second thought. Everyone is going to go to $80 at some point. I'm sure there'll be no smoke for anybody. They'll be like, oh, well, Nintendo, well, they're Nintendoing, but Xbox, damn to hell, right? But here's an interesting theory that kind of catapults what you're saying about, well, if the games are 80, we, Xbox, have a service where you can get the 80 or potentially $100+ version for the cost of your subscription, and if you want to buy the upgrade, it's $27. So for $27 and you're $20 a month, you're getting all of these games, and you'll be able to play them everywhere and anywhere. And this is where the next generation handhelds, consoles, and OEM handhelds come into play, because now you'll be able to take these games, because they're play anywhere, literally play anywhere. And then the question arises, well, if I can play everything on Xbox, including PlayStation games, do I need my PS5? Do I need a PS6? And that's the road that they're working towards.
Mhm.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the box that's in the living room. It's a box anywhere. And oh, by the way, it plays everything, not just Xbox games.
It's
Not
one box
just
to rule them all. Yeah.
There you go. So
And-
I mean, that's
yeah.
the right. And again, I'm just a podcaster. I'm sure a lot of these folks who have PhDs, who have these degrees in public science or political science or even gaming science understand this, Umbra. So if I can get it, I'm sure they got it as well.
Yeah, and I'm not going to doubt the people the pushers behind the scenes, the pin pushers or whatever they call them, right? Like, I know that they're smarter than me when it comes to this situation. Not to say that they're infallible, but going back, okay, so just to highlight, Keith made a great point. He says that I don't think it's just about subscriptions. Nintendo and PlayStation are also doing it. They also want to get that price point. Absolutely. But I don't think that's the major point for Microsoft. I think they want you to subscribe for one. But if they can get you to just to pay your $80 and keep it moving, sure, they'll take that. That's an added incentive. That's not their first goal. I think their first goal is to get you added as a sub to keep you in the ecosystem, to keep you buying. The more you're in there, you're going to keep, paying for Game Pass. You're going to buy things in the ecosystem, microtransactions, et cetera, et cetera. It's just more lucrative for them overall over time. I mean, look at me. I'm on PC now, and I'm still subscribed to Game Pass because it got that much of a lock on me, and I ain't going nowhere. You feel what I'm saying? So subscription is their biggest goal. Not to say that selling the games aren't also part of the strategy, Keith. So you're right too. But and I'll say this: I do want to. I know I've been chatting for a minute.
No, listen, this is a good. I love the conversation we're having. It's why we're here.
Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, one of her things with the price point, and that's evidence of them pushing people towards subscriptions again. That's part of what they're doing, obviously, right? But that's, to me, Game Pass is a complementary thing to the strategy. It is not a replacement of the hardware. And I think because one of the things you have to keep in mind is if they have Game Pass and they have Play Anywhere, well, it doesn't quite work if you don't have hardware for it, does it? I mean, if we have Steam and all these other services, well, those are technically Play Anywhere too, because I can play those everywhere, or if I have the device for it. So they have to have hardware at the end of the day. Now, if you want to argue, maybe they want to push people to PC. I mean, I guess you can argue that, but I don't know really if there's any evidence specifically for that. But either way, the whole end goal is that you have a device that can play everything and do everything, and they're going to give you the ecosystem or at least the tools, the software to stay in their ecosystem with whatever you get. So again, excuse me, I've been drinking pop, so I'm burping up a storm over here. But part of the so one of the things, so either way, they're keeping you locked into their ecosystem. This is not them saying we're getting out of gaming. I don't think, and I don't want to sound like Paris here. I don't think they buy $70 game, $70 billion into ABK. If you, but yeah, I don't. They
That was
didn't
a really good.
70.
That was almost a 1-to-1. He has that deep.
I've been working on my Paris voice. People like, yeah, well, yeah, boom. I think that but no, I think you don't spend 70 billion. Shout out to Paris. Don't come and muscle in on this and beat me up. But I don't think you spend that much money, and all this they spend, like you said, boom, even on what's the word I want to use? I don't think you spend all of that, not only for ABK on Bethesda, on Obsidian, and you don't fund all of this and put all this money into building Game Pass to suddenly abandon it and not continue on. And I don't really see the room for that argument. So I think a lot of what she's saying is from a traditional mindset that is stuck in the past. Honestly, I mean, it's been 20 some years for her, right, since she's been with Xbox. Yeah, you got more of a traditional mindset, understandably, and I think that's the bigger point, and I think that's the bigger problem for so many still arguing that and have argued for Xbox's death day in and day out, is that they're stuck on traditional, where now Microsoft is future forward. They're not thinking like you anymore. They're not moving that same way. They're not moving like Sony. They're not moving like Nintendo. You know what I mean? And I think that's the bigger problem. It's not, you can see, I think it affects not even just gamers, but people like her who know the business, I think. You know what I mean? So that's my thinking on it. And I'm not saying all this to shade her. I don't know if she has ulterior motives or anything like that. I would just say that she's I don't think she fully thought it all the way out. She said one thing I didn't like either, by the way. I will say this. And this is why I know she was traditional minded. When she was talking about when they used to, she tried to do it a little jab. I peeped it, because she's like, and go back to 20 years ago when they had Oblivion. Now they have the remake for Oblivion, and that's doing really well. And so when they go back to games that they used to make really well, you see how it works out. And it's like, or something to that. I'm kind of paraphrasing.
Well, she said that they don't know how to ship games, and I'm like, well, what happened in the last 6 months? Listen, again, no shade, no attacking. It's just conversation that we're having. There were some things that, again, she made some great points, especially about the $70 to $80 game thing, because she made mention that Phil said, about his comment about charging gamers $70, and now, of course, they moved to $80. That's beyond his control. I know that he is the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, but of course, he still sits under Satya Nadella as well as Amy Hood, which is the CFO, and they're like, we want more money. So you're gonna have to figure it out.
Absolutely. But she said something that was how did she word that when she was talking about Oblivion? She was saying that
about them having great success with it, and of course they could just release old games.
Right. And she was saying something, and she threw out a little jab where she said back when they used to release great games or something to that nature. I forgot how she worded it.
She said how they used to ship games.
Right.
Know how to ship games. More specifically,
maybe to that point. I wish I could remember it. I should have wrote it down. But my thinking was, well, they didn't make Oblivion before. That was Bethesda. So why are you throwing that in there at all? And unless she's going to argue, well, they used to make great games like Oblivion. Okay, maybe. But again, that to me points to a traditional argument that she's having in her head. Why aren't they doing this traditional thing like they used to, where they used to be great at? And you've kind of lost the forest for the trees of where they're headed now. You know what I mean? And where they're headed to infinity and beyond. I'm sorry. But no, seriously, I think it's just people are trapped in this traditional loop of what gaming platforms and such have to be. And I think Microsoft is continuously evolving past that. And people don't know quite how to respond to it. So the default is, oh, they're dying, or Xbox is dead, or, that's the thing I think it keeps coming back to because of that.
I mean, great points all around. Listen, I'm going to shout out Paris who's in chat. So, of course, you said your name a couple times, and well, here he is, like a candy man. Shout out to Hazardor Gaming, one of my favorite content creators on Twitter. I want to throw this up on. He says, he wants to add his 2 cents. So I'll read it for you, Hazardor. Thank you so much for being here, brother. He says, if I can add my 2 cents into this traditional mindset, it's hard to ignore when you are part of the old team. With that said, let's be honest here. Microsoft is taking a huge risk for its own ecosystem. And, as a matter of fact, Paris Lilly, who joined us yesterday, actually said that, because this is a risk, because we don't know if it's going to work, right? The Xbox everywhere. We have to see it in action. And, they're getting there. Before everyone pronounces them DOA on the scene, can we see if it works? Well, a lot of people don't want to get there. But you know what? Let me just read out the super chats. We're going to get into the Halo news, folks, because look, I've been saying this for a while.
Boom, you see Perry. He said I made the list.
You made the list. And he's
He
probably
said-
scratching in that list right
he
now.
said, no
thinking,
bull. Umbra mocking me just made my side eye listen. It was all in reverence, Paris.
Oh my
Let
God.
me do
great.
the Paris voice one more time. Yeah. Paris, that was all in good fun. That was to show respect to how well you present yourself and speak. All love, of course. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, he does voices. That's what he does. But
It's
yeah,
what I
shout
do,
out to Paris
No
for being here,
shade.
brother.
No shade.
Super appreciate it. Let me get to running super chats, and then we'll get everybody to talk about Halo. Because listen, folks, I got the presser in front of me. I can't wait to read it. I cannot wait for October. I mean, wow, we're gonna get real big Halo news this October, and that's been confirmed. That's not even a suggestion, but Gamer by Choice, who has been a channel member for 69 months, brother. That is incredible. Thank you so much for the support. He also dropped the $5 super chat. We'll get to that in a second. He says Xbox is the X everyone says should give up chasing their X. So they do, and they move on. And now people are upset that they are not trying harder to get the X back. Make up your mind, people. Shaking my damn head. He also drops a very generous $5 super chat. And Gamer by Choice says, the elusive gamer, I have found many people are not as bright as you probably give them credit for. People vote against their own best interest. Shaking my head. Indeed, brother. We have Freddie Fox in the chat. Drops a very generous $5 super chat. Freddie, great to see you here, brother. He goes on to say, if you build a house or have it built, it's still yours, right? So let's have the same energy for Microsoft and Xbox. It's still an Xbox, period. Xbox for life. Again, it's an OEM device, but they have, and that's the other thing I saw people going back and forth with, trying to argue with me. First of all, you're not going to get an argument out of me. I'm going to mute you and block you, and that's it. I don't, listen, I barely have time to play games because I produce 5 shows, and it's not that easy, folks. I just don't sit down here. Ask anyone that works with me. The show notes are ridiculous, and their show notes are not as half as what I have because I need all the information. So I do spend a significant amount of time writing the material. I read the material. I have to find the material, and thanks to this community who like Hazardor Gaming more specifically, he puts out great posts, and a lot of the posts that he puts out, I eventually will use and give him multiple on-the-air credit for it because he does a lot of really great work, along with a lot of people in the DM that DM me on a daily basis. Hey, Boom, King Webb in the chat, and I every day, Kale Walker is another an amazing community member that DMs me on a regular basis. Sith Lord is another one. I mean, the list just goes on and on. So without their help, it'd be even more difficult. But definitely appreciate you being here, Freddie. Day Reezy, salute to you, kind sir. Thank you so much for being here. He goes on to say, after dropping a very generous $2 from chat, Umbra, sing The Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King for ponies.
The thrill is gone.
Well, there you go, folks.
I'm gonna leave it there.
All right, excellent.
Shout out
Good
to Hazardor, by the way. He gave you a compliment, Boom. He said,
yes, Hazardor, good dude, really good dude. Eternal should die.
I go around all podcasts lurking. He said, this is the nicest community. So thank you, Boom, is what he said.
That's very kind of you, Hazardor. Thank you so much. Listen, this is we used to have like a real ugly troll problem, and then of course, Lethal Papa, one of the best mods in the business, walks silently and carries a really big band stick. And we get rid of those because that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to argue and fight with the community. We're here to have fun. We're here to enjoy gaming. I saw, oh my God, Snap Ass Play is a great community member. He's an Xbox guy. And he just posted some video of Daytona USA from the 360. I own the game. I didn't have it installed. And I was like, you know what? I got to play that game. And I put a video myself. That game still looks and runs freaking great. And there's nothing cooler than hearing rolling start as the game is. It's just, you had to be there, folks. I'm an OG Sega guy. And Daytona USA, I hope that's one of the games that they are remaking because, damn, we need a new one. So Eternal Should Die drops a very generous $20 super chat. Brother, thank you so much for the generosity eternal. He goes, what people need to understand is Windows OS dominates PC landscape. It's on HP's, Dell's, Lenovo's, etc. Microsoft is doing the same move that they did on PC now for gaming products, all in one OS system. I mean, that is exactly what they're doing. That's a phenomenal point, and I don't understand how people don't get that or refuse to acknowledge that is the route that they are taking. Fantas Archer in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat. Fantas goes on to say, it's weird how former Xbox executives and fans turn bitter, yet former PlayStation executives and now PS fans defend Sony to no end. A documentary needs to be created. Indeed. I mean, it's goalpost moving. It's a two-sided coin. The fight is fixed. Whatever analogy you want to use, Xbox bad, Xbox tax, whatever. It does seem that when Xbox does something, anything, it's the magnifying glass with 100 times power comes to make sure that they're doing it. And even when they're doing it right, they've got it wrong. Sony, now listen, they've had some trouble. Like I said, I think Jamie made mention of it. Concord was delayed until next year. How many posts from Jeff Keighley did you see? None. How many posts did you see from the games media? Like, wow, what are they doing? I can't believe this is happening. Is this going to be another Concord? No concern for the fact that the game, this is great. They've listened to community feedback. Great for Bungie. They had no choice. The game was going to flop. So they had no choice but to go back to the drawing board. And even though it's back at the drawing board, we still don't know if that game is going to be a success. And I certainly am not hoping that it fails. I'm just not going to play it because I don't like extraction shooters. So it's not for me. But you never want to see anybody fail, because if they do fail, people are going to be out of work. Nobody wants to see that. But my point about that particular game and Bungie is there was no giant abundance of concern or even engagement from the games media or the community about, wow, this game was delayed. That's a big problem. It was just no one talked about it. It's like if we kind of duck our heads, no one will talk about it. We can go back to bashing Xbox. And that's ultimately what wound up happening. Jonas the Dad, who's been a channel member, for 19 months. Jonas, salute to you, kind sir. Thank you for the outstanding support. Jonas says, imagine having to do much money you can worry about the 3+. Okay, he says, imagine having to do and worry about the $3+ trillion company. Hit that like button and share it out. Thanks for being awesome, Boom and crew. Yeah, I just look. The one thing you'll never see from me is worrying about the 3.3 or 6 now $1 trillion company. I don't worry about any company. I'm a consumer. I put myself first. They put me nowhere on their list, which is fine. They're a business. I'm a consumer. If I like the product, I buy it. I use it. If I don't like it, I don't buy it and I don't use it. I don't care how much money they make. As long as Game Pass, which is a service that I use almost every day, keeps filling my backlog list with more and more games that I may or may not ever get to, I'm good. And that's how you got to look at it. If you are a consumer and you play on Xbox, you are winning. You are winning because you're getting unbelievable first-party games. You are getting unbelievable third-party deals. You're getting indie second party, and your Xbox Game Pass subscription every month gets better and better. And this year, by the end of the year, Xbox first party will have dropped 12 games into that service. That's bonkers. But let's see. Sith Lord, who's been a channel member for 38 months. Salute to you, kind sir. Another person I talk with in DM pretty much every day. He says people are scared of the future. That's why Nintendo is killing physical and Xbox software is dying. The same people thought the world was ending in 2000. Yeah, I mean, that's true. LMNOPO, a generous friend of the program, longtime supporter, who's been a channel member, ladies and gentlemen, for nearly 40 months. Brother, that is crazy generous of you. We super appreciate you being here, LMNOP. He goes on to say, happy Tuesday. trying to make a PC more console UI friendly is the holy grail. Let the gamble begin. And I've heard some things which I will not say publicly. I'm very excited. I will say that. Eternal Shaddai, wow, he has dropped a $20, an additional $20 super chat. He goes on to say, to Umbra is not okay. So to Umbra is not her about being traditional. It's because she wants games like Oblivion being treated how it's supposed to be to attract consumers. We're still waiting for Banjo. Indeed, we are. And the Lost Odyssey remake, which, man, if they want to make money, that would be the one.
I would love if they did that. I mean, I guess I can also see that point, Shaddai.
Yeah.
But it's funny when I always tell him when I see his name. I used to tell him this. I say Eternal Shaddai because one of my names was Eternal at first, but then I changed it to Infinite. But I told him every time I see Shaddai, I think of a black church. It's like going to the Eternal Shaddai mountaintop church on the side of the rock where we're going to talk about Jesus. Every time I see his name, I start thinking of black preacher. But
great,
listen, you might have a great point there, Shaddai. But my thing is this: if that's her argument, is she missing the forest for the trees? If you look at this year long, they've been delivering. So how could you argue that? You know what I mean? If I'm not saying you, but if her argument is, well, we need you to turn in great games, well, they've been doing that. I'm talking about high 80s and deliverables and such. Like, where is she at if she's not seeing that? You know what I mean?
I mean, you can go all the way back until if you don't want to go all the way back to 2023, you can go back as far as 2024, where they delivered a lot of really good games. And that continues in 25 and 2026, which, by the way, is redonkulous already. And there's still some stuff that hasn't been announced. It's going to be crazy. But we have a gifted sub from our generous friend all the way from the other side of the world, one of the best, beautiful, and most beautiful places in the world, Hawaii. Nino Vestek, aloha to you, kind sir, and the family. Thank you so much for the gifted sub. If you did get that, please let people, say thank you. And this is great. Now, of course, Phil Spencer in the chat, folks. And, Phil's got some money, right? He's an executive. He's the CEO of Microsoft. Well, he did something that is insane because he has gifted, ladies and gentlemen, 20 double barrel gaming memberships. Phil Spencer, thank you, kind sir. If you remember, I was the guy that we had dinner with in 2019, and I met you a couple of Sundays ago. Gentleman of a man, Phil Spencer, thank you so much for the generosity. We appreciate you being here, brother. And of course, gifting 20 subs for Double Barrel Gaming. That is very kind of you. We definitely appreciate you being here.
What if it's the real Phil Spencer and he's just playing?
You know what? He
not
listens.
really me.
He listens. I know he listens. But you never know. I mean, this guy. So salute to Phil Spencer for the lovely gift. We also have here Gamer by Choice drops an additional very generous $10 super chat. Gamer by Choice goes on to say, humans fear what we don't understand. Xbox has a new strategy many don't understand, causing fear-mongering and hate. If you showed someone from the 1200s a cell phone, you'd probably get removed from life. Yeah, they definitely throw you up on a rack for sure.
So
if you should, they would call you the devil.
You'd be the witch for sure. Witch!
You'd definitely be a witch for sure, or a warlock,
yeah.
or because that's the male version of it. But listen, gentlemen, let's get into the Rebs Gaming post. Now, Rebs Gaming, folks, if you don't know, he is an incredible part of the Twitter community. He's a journalist, folks, and he knows his business, especially when it comes to Halo. So he had posted a couple of weeks ago where he said that he has heard from his very reliable source that there would be new unreleased Halo information being dropped at the Halo Championships later this year that happen in October. They're going to be happening in Seattle, Washington. Well, folks, not only was he right, I'm going to read verbatim from his post, and I'm going to read the presser from Halo Studios confirming just this. So Rebs Gaming goes on to say, confirmed with a green check mark, Halo Studios just announced that they will reveal what they've been working on at the Halo World Championships. He goes on to say, of course, a little dig. Whoever doubted me can now apologize with a winking emoji. So let me read the presser, ladies and gentlemen. And this is directly from, of course, Halo Studios. And it goes on to say this. Over the past few weeks, there's been a fair amount of speculation about when and where more details might emerge about any of the multiple projects Halo Studios is actively working on. We don't usually comment on such matters, but this time we want to enter the chat and share a little bit more of the perspective for Halo fans who might be on the fence about whether to attend this year's event. Last year at the Halo World Championship, we premiered A New Dawn, where we talked about the switch to Unreal Engine 5, gave you a behind-the-scenes look at Project Foundry, and debuted our evolution to Halo Studios as we enter a new chapter for Halo. For us, A New Dawn was just the beginning. At this year's Halo World Championship, we look forward to continuing this conversation. Speculation is always fun, but if you want the official scoop on what Halo Studios has been working on, you won't want to miss this year's Halo World Championship. We really hope you'll join us in Seattle, Washington later this year in October. There's the presser. Jamie Moran confirmed that we are getting additional Halo news that it's never been talked about. Just like last year, they dropped the fact that they were changing the names to from 343 Industries to Halo Studios. They dropped. This was the biggest news for Infinite Umbra, who of course is here smiling from ear to ear. They were going from the Slipspace engine to Unreal Engine for the next Halo or the next several Halo projects. And we know they just confirmed it. They just confirmed it in the presser that they are working on multiple Halo projects. This is exciting. This is the way you end the year. And you know what's incredible? October is going to happen, and there's still the Game Awards where we think Xbox is going to be there in a big way. Let's talk Halo. Let's talk about Halo Studios and the fact that they're going to give us a peek behind the curtain, so to speak, of what they're working on, Jamie.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I mean, for people that don't know, I don't really do multiplayer anymore. So for me, like I love Halo, I adore Halo. So for me, I've been craving new Halo content since 2021. I loved Halo Infinite. The grappling hook for me, perfection. But I'm excited to see what Halo looks like and what it's going to play like. Even if it's not like an extended gameplay deep dive, I'm just excited for Halo to come back. It's been way too long. And I complain about this all the time about how like sequels for games I like take years and years, half a decade now to make. I've been craving a new Halo game since I finished Infinite. So I'm excited. Are we going to see something about the quote unquote remake or something different? I don't know, but to see Halo like in the limelight again, it's very good to see. And I think when they shifted to Unreal Engine 5, something I've heard from other developers is that the content pipeline is way more efficient. And I'm wanting to see what they can do with Halo in an engine that a lot of developers know how to use. I've talked about this before, how when BioWare shifted to Frostbite and the tools weren't necessarily there, like making content for, Mass Effect Andromeda wasn't exactly the best situation for them. Most developers there basically, knew how to use Unreal Engine, so Frostbite was all over the place for them. And getting content out regularly in a new engine can be a bit difficult, but a lot of developers know how to use Unreal Engine, and that's the best thing about this stuff. So I want to see what Microsoft can do with a new Halo game in an engine most people know how to use. It's an exciting time for Halo fans, especially if you're like me and you mainly stick to single player games. Like, it's been a long time coming, and I can't wait.
Well, I'll say this. Why this is exciting is for a couple of reasons. We have confirmation that we're going to see something that Halo fans have been asking for, right? They have read the room. They have heard the cries of the Halo fans like myself, who very much enjoy and put a ridiculous amount of time into Halo Infinite. And I'm not sad or sorry that I did. But one of the things, one of my big takeaways, and if he was here, he'd agree with me, and that, of course, is Keasante. He, like myself, are big fans of the single-player, story-driven narrative of Halo and Master Chief. Now, there's some people that think they should move on from Chief. I would unbelievably disagree with that, and that's fine. We can all have our opinions, but it is time that we get back to single-player, story-driven narratives with Master Chief. Now, we do know, and again, this is the rumor, Umbra, that the original Halo that started it all, which of course is Halo Combat Evolved, is getting a facelift. It is getting a remade in Unreal Engine 5, and I think that is very exciting because this game is going to look and play like a modern game. Where the question that I still have, and I hope we get some answers when we, in October, is what do they do after that, right? Like, is Infinite and that story going to continue? Because it is going to continue in written format, because there's a book, or at least a couple of books coming out that literally take place directly after Infinite, and it is a singular story that involves both Chief and the new Cortana, and it's a self-contained story and adventure, which is great. But again, I would not want to be Halo Studios to figure out what happens next, because we don't know. And I mean, is Halo Combat Evolved and its story, then they reboot the narrative, or do they continue from there? Does that mean that 2 and ODST and 3 don't count? What about Reach? There's a lot of questions that I hope that we get answers for, but I'm very much looking forward to at least getting some information about what they're doing with what I believe is still one of the most important franchises for Xbox, because Xbox is Chief is Xbox, and the same thing for Halo. Let's get your thoughts on this new information and confirmation, more so, that we are going to learn of what they're doing with Halo and potentially some of the other projects, Umbra.
Well, Boom, you hit it right on the head. As you were saying all that, and you mentioned Unreal Engine 5 and Halo, I was smiling literally ear to ear. And if anybody had been paying attention to me, I said this well before they ever announced working with Unreal Engine for the next Halo and going forward. I said I would love for them to use Unreal, and people were like, "Oh, well, you got their own bespoke engine, slip space." I'm like, "Sure." And they fumbled that. They could have done more with it. And listen, I say there's loving Infinite, and I still think Infinite is a looker if you look the right way, right? It's not the most advanced looking game, but I think it is beautiful in its own way, especially in a campaign when you go through like the Forerunner structures and stuff like that. I mean, it's a gorgeous game, I think. And I've posted pictures back then when I was really heavy on it to showcase that. That said, and I stand firmly by this, that there is no engine in gaming that quite visually performs quite like Unreal Engine. Yes, I'll be expecting my check epic. But that said, man, no, I'm extremely excited. Shout out to Mr. Rebs, by the way, who's been staunch
great Halo. I mean he's a journalist, but he's a Halo guy. So
he is a Halo guy. I've talked to him behind the sines, hit him up and told him, hey, come join this Discord, man. Get in here with us and talk with us. I'm trying to get him in there so I can get secrets. Don't listen to that, Mr. Rebs. I just want to talk to you. That's all. I just want to talk to you. But no, shout out to Rebs for getting it out there. And I mean, he's dropped a few dimes before in the past that clued us in on things. So all love to him doing what he does. I'm excited, man. I know we don't have enough to really go on. So all of this is going to be just speculation, right? And hell, they say that if you go to the Halo esports, it's like rumors and speculation, literally. Like that's part of what they're selling there. So we're going to get a first look here at what they're cooking. I don't know if that means it will be, well, I can guess it will be the Halo remake, seeing how they have Master Chief and the Sengeli right there that he's going up against. But I also wonder if they'll show that, but also a snippet of other things, because if you all remember, they're working on more than just Halo, a remake or whatever. They're working on other games, so we might see something with the RTS. Maybe and I'll just random throw it out there, but maybe we'll see what was the name? The supposed battle royale that what's they called? Their names.
My god, yeah.
I
I
almost
forgot
said,
to actually.
I
Is
can't
it called
remember.
Tanaka or something?
Yeah, Tanaka. But what was the name of that? The dude just dived to get shot right in the head.
He did. He dived right in
That
front of
was
me,
funny.
and I
What
shot
is
him right
the
in the
name?
face.
I almost said Creative Assembly, but it's not Creative Assembly. What's their name? It is CA too.
Oh my god, all the ex Bungie guys.
Certain Affinity. There it is.
Certain
Thank you,
Affinity,
Louise.
indeed. Yes.
Riviera. Rivera. That I said Rivera, my bad. Certain Affinity is who it is. So maybe that whole delay for that was for them to move things forward and change into a different engine. You know what I mean? Actually, if I'm not mistaken, that was rumored to be an Unreal, allegedly.
Yes.
If you all remember the whole thing about that. Thanks, Louise. It was all about them moving toward it, and people were doubting that, oh, they can't do that. How will they move this to Unreal? How will they work? Well, now we know that's the case. We know that they're moving to Unreal. You all remember that whole talk about that? Well, how will they move Slipspace into this? Can Unreal even let them move the way they need to? Well, I guess we're getting an answer, and the answer is yes. And I don't know why people really doubted Unreal anyway. They have such diverse tools for everything because the game is used for everything. So it's so much put into that engine all across. And and I get shout out to Kay because I get where he's saying that he wants other engines to be, get that love so it can be developed to the point of that too. And he's not wrong. But still not going to shake my love for Unreal. But yeah, that said, I cannot wait to see what they show us. I don't expect them to show us a ton. If anything, I would expect that it's just going to give us enough just to whet the appetite, as they would say. And anything more that we'll see, obviously, if I would have guessed at the end of their little video snippet or whatever, tune in next year, blah, 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 right? Because next year is going to be the thing. We already know it.
Oh, yeah. Next year is going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be redonkulous, man. I'm trying to make sure that I can get myself out there next year. I got some money plans to put that aside, This year I was overspending.
Not as expensive as you think, especially if you share a room with someone that you trust. Like me and Kay wound up splitting a room, which was, again, after it was all said and done, much more affordable. And the flight actually wasn't as much as you thought it was, for sure.
Yeah.
I think I wound up paying because I got all the extras. You go through security quicker, you check a couple of bags.
Oh,
I think it was like $6 and change to go for a round trip.
That's not too bad.
Cali. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
And there was no stops either. It was straight. Boom, boom.
Oh, straight through. Oh, nice. Yeah. No layovers. But also too, it's kind of crazy that they're trying to give you a fast pass to get through. Oh, if you pay a little bit more, we'll get you through the line.
I always pay, and you know what's fine.
That's cool. But it reminds me of like Great America. You get the flash pass. Anyway, that all said, yeah, man, I'm excited for this. Again, we don't have enough to speculate, but I am excited to see what they show us. And I think, well, I can't speak for everyone else, but I feel like Halo Studios, formerly 343, I think they have a renewed vigor with what they're doing, and I expect them to showcase it with what they're going to show us at this esports. Also next year, I expect us to be blown away, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it on this show many, many, many times about, just the speculation and just some of the games that we know that are coming next year. And I really think that when you just take a step back and you look at what, we just got to the halfway point of 25, right? There's still all of July and the rest of the year, which there's a couple of really big shows. Gamescom is in August. You have in September, the Tokyo Game Show, which is no slouch. And of course, the big one of the year is Jeff's show. Now, again, if you don't like Jeff, I'm not going to fight you. I like Jeff. I just sometimes get aggravated with sometimes he does things that are head scratching. But let's call a spade a spade. Every year that the Game Awards happens, specifically, the end of year Game Awards, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and more millions of people watch it. I look forward to it every year. I've never been to one. I mean, maybe at some point I'll consider going, but I like the Game Awards, and I really do think that there's a freaking really good shot, and it's starting to line up 1-to-1 that we keep hearing that the next Xbox is next year. We did hear it originally, and then people put the kibosh on that and said, no, it's 27. But in the last couple of weeks, it has been a lot of talk from a lot of really credible journalists that 26 could, in fact, be the launch of the next Xbox console. And the reason why I think that's a possibility is because you're going to see this UI to rule them all, right? You're going to see that drop this summer. I mean, not this summer, this fall with the ROG Ally Xbox. That is happening. That UI that everyone's been talking about, the UI to rule them all, that's going to be a part of the next console. If they get the UI done, well, I mean, you're talking 19 months away, folks. They could have the console. The console could release. I really think that this year's Game Award is possibly going to do what we saw in 2019. This is all speculation, folks. Jeff has, his Game Awards. I don't know who's going to win this year. There's a lot of really great contenders. Expedition 33 is my top pick. I think that is going to win a lot of awards for sure. I mean, there are a few others. There are a few other ones in there, absolutely. But I think that there's an absolute possibility, gentlemen and chat, that they show the console and potentially one game for it. And next year, we know that the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, the pillars of Xbox, are going to be releasing in the same year. I just think about that for a second. Celebrating the 25th anniversary, gentlemen, you're getting a new Halo, Gears, and Forza. Are you freaking kidding me? On top of that, you could get a Perfect Dark. You're definitely getting Fable. We know it's happening next year. State of Decay 3 could be another one. You could get Clockwork Revolution. I mean, it's already just unfair to the rest of the players. Like the rest of the playing field, they're behind the eight ball. If Xbox releases a new console on top of that lineup, holy freaking cow. But this has been a great show, folks. Almost 90 minutes. We had a lot of, two monster-sized topics, really big opinions from Umbra and, of course, the Elusive Gamer. Shout out to nearly 500 people here. Of course, a big thank you to all of the generous donations in the form of channel membership gifts, as well as continued support with channel membership and all of the super chats that came in. And again, whether it's real or not, Phil Spencer or a person named Phil Spencer has gifted 20 Double Barrel Gaming memberships, along with our generous friend from Hawaii, Nino Vestic, who has gifted one as well. And we cannot thank you folks for the generosity and continued support. But you know what? Let's get to the last couple of super chats here. We do have one. Cheese is nasty. He drops a very generous $5 super chat. Cheese goes on to say, I understand what Xbox is going through. I loved Google Stadia and praised it. As a result, I got banned from groups and death threats. Wow, brother, that is awful to hear. And nobody should be threatening you because you liked Google Stadia. That is ridiculous. But then again, the internet is not a real place. It is a figment of many people's imagination, to be quite honest with you. It's not real. But the Cheese, brother, appreciate the generosity and also that you're here on a regular basis. We definitely appreciate you checking out the show. Gentlemen, let's get everyone out of here and let's sell your brand. We'll start first with Jamie Moran, who, by the way, will have a show later today, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where, of course, he and Logan Meyer get together in the new episode of the All Things Xbox podcast, where they talk about Splinter Cell, they talk about Mass Effect, and they talk about breaking news on a regular basis. Brother, sell the brand. Where can people not only subscribe to the Elusive Gamer channel on YouTube, but more importantly, follow you on social media?
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It's always a pleasure. So yeah, my YouTube channel is The Elusive Gamer. I exclusively cover Xbox. I'm a pro Xbox YouTube channel, and no fanboy stuff, no clickbait. I hate that stuff. And All Things Xbox podcast is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a fun time tonight. We're going to actually go over my theoretical strategy and how Microsoft should manage next generation. So that should be fun. Going to go over a bunch of Ubisoft stuff, a bunch of Ubisoft Assassin's Creed leaks and stuff. It's going to be fun. I'm probably going to rant about Splinter Cell. It's a weekly occurrence. I like to rant about Splinter Cell because it doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, so that's at 6 p.m. Eastern. I put out a video last night called The 10 Biggest New Games Coming to Xbox in July. hope people enjoy it. Took a while putting together, and there's actually 14 games on that list. If people are curious, interesting games coming out. And my Twitter is JamieMan UK, where it's exclusively gaming and jokes.
Well, thank you so much for being here. The video was great. I watched it twice. Yeah, 14 games, folks. Some of the stuff I didn't even know were actually releasing on Xbox, and I have added to my wish list, so I'm looking forward to that. Shout out to BT Maverick 707, which we got a chance to hang out a couple of Sundays ago. Gentleman of a man. Appreciate you being here, BT, as well as a lot of new names here, which is great. So, of course, before we get to Umbra, folks, if you're not already subscribed, Mrs. Boom and I are now on the hunt for 17K. And you know what? Listen, the channel's been around this November 3rd, more specifically, 8 full years of content. We are closing in on 8 million views in those 8 years, which equates to 1 million views per year, which is a lot considering the size of the channel. And the reason why I know that those are real, and it's because, well, we subscribe to vidIQ and we get all the stats. So those numbers are real, ladies and gentlemen, and we thank you for that. But if you're not already subscribed and you are interested in checking out the content, which goes Monday through Friday and occasionally breaking news, subscribe to Double Barrel Gaming. Mrs. Boom and I would greatly appreciate that. But Infinite Umbra, you have a show, yourself and Daniel J. McGee, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, called The Fix. And it is not only a video game show, it is a pop culture show where you talk about wrestling, where you talk about Superman is going to be releasing, I think, in 2 weeks. You got Fantastic Four. You got the new Vin Diesel, X2 just was announced.
Vin Diesel was going to have to get himself back in shape for that one.
I saw that. A little weight. He did. He got a little peep out there for sure.
Somebody said
it's okay. He's an older man, and
he is.
He's enjoying the good life. I guarantee you, by the time he's filming, that guy is going to be Cock Diesel.
Oh yeah.
There. But hey, brother, sell the brand. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? But more importantly, follow you on social media, sir.
Yes, sir. Always, Boom. Thank you for having a brother. And Jamie, always great to hear your insight and be here with you. Shout out to the chat, man. You all give me great energy. Honestly, you all know that I'm dead, mostly tired. I'm not going to say today because I did get a little rest in. I think I found the secret to get in here and get a good nap in for a few hours before the show. And it kind of works out in my favor. But shout out to the chat for understanding that I will sometimes doze off on y'all. It's going to happen. But, it's all love. And you all hold me down with good energy. And it keeps me moving. It keeps me energized, And, so thank you all in the chat for being here with us and holding us down. Shout out to everybody, man. As far as where to find me, of course, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me on social media with that. And this week we will be covering a bunch of things. Obviously, I'm pretty sure we'll go over the Laura Fryer situation and a bunch of other things as well. Definitely want to speak on wrestling that just went past this weekend with the recent show and what's coming up with Evolution. Also, too, I'm excited, man. I'm excited, by the way, for Superman. The more I see of it, the more I'm actually really, really happy for that. Also, too, Fantastic Four.
It feels like the animated Superman cartoon.
It does.
That's the feeling I'm getting from it. Just some of the campiness of it.
Yeah, they have a lot of
kaiju.
It has a lot of
great.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Same thing with Fantastic Four. It's drawn back to a lot of the classic imagery, them fighting.
It looks like a painting from Jack Kirby.
It literally
come to life. It really does.
Their old school covers of them fighting that thing. I forgot the name of that underground mole monster.
The Mole Man is actually what his name is. Yeah.
Was that Mole Man that summoned it? Because they were fighting that big creature. Mole Man may have been the one that summoned it, but that's an old classic comic cover. I remember it. It's ingrained into the brain. I cannot remember the issue number and everything, but I do remember the cover. So it's just seeing stuff like that is just cool to see. And just I'm excited for that as well, man. We definitely will be covering that as well. We are also, just to throw it out there, we are also nearing 100 episodes. So
nice, dude. That's awesome.
I want to put something together for the 100th episode and have like maybe yourself.
I swing by for that. Absolutely. That's a ginormous celebration. Listen, YouTube is vast and there's no guarantee of success. And to get to that 100 that's work, brother. That is work.
Yeah, for sure. Now I got a long way before I get to your work ethic because I damn sure don't know how you You were saying it earlier, and I was shaking my head like I don't know how you do it. Because,
I live
yeah.
and breathe this gaming industry and this community. And when I'm not thinking about the show, I'm thinking about the show. It's
I hear
crazy.
you.
And I love it. I absolutely, you know what I get excited about, folks? And this is just a little peek behind the curtain. I enjoy the pressure of having to deliver the show and make sure that it's not like the show before it or the show before that or the one last week. I extensively write. I write a lot and I read a lot, and I love the pressure of having to come out here 5 days a week in front of the camera and not F it up. I know that's probably crazy, but again, as a cop, I ran at 100 miles an hour, and I really went out of my way to help as many people as I can. And I took that same ideology from the NYPD and just moved it over into content creation, which is why I'm so, into, creating the art with the thumbnails and the titles. And I really make sure that they're not clickbait. I love this. I love doing this. This is a dream come true for me. That's why I run here at 100 miles an hour, Umbra.
You can see it, Boom. Like it's one thing to say it, but I think your work ethic is showing how often you do what you do as far as the shows and stuff like that. The energy you bring to it is evident, right? And you can't fake that. So, like I said it before, like I think you're the blueprint for a lot of people that follow, because a lot of people, we got multiple shows this week. I'm like, how many people doing it now? Like it's like 18 different podcasters. They got
there are
like
a lot of people
shows
that are doing it for sure. Yes.
Yeah. So they definitely, they definitely got that from you, as they would say, they ate that from you. So no, shout out to you doing your thing, Jamie. Of course, hope you have a great show today, you and Logan. I will likely be KO'd, but I do want to go back. I do want to go back and I do want to share it out when you have the advert for it and everything, and as well, and maybe go back and check it out myself later. But yeah, thanks again to everybody in the chat. And if you all have not done so, I posted my link above. Check it out. Matter of fact, let me repost it. If you have not subscribed to us, please do so. Me and Daniel J. McGee. Oh, I guess I'll give a quick shout out. The Infinite Podcast. We won't have an episode this week. That's hosted by Risky for the Biscuit. That's myself. That's that blue number, and that is Dante, aka Spriggan. We won't have a show this week, obviously because of the holiday. Next week we'll be having, I think, a pre-recorded situation.
Nice. That's
just
smart.
for now, because Risky is on the move. He's got work situations going. So, but other than that, man, thank you all. That's at 8:00 Eastern on Fridays, typically, for the Infinite Podcast. For my show, The Fix with Daniel, that's 8:00 Eastern on Thursdays. So come by if you all have time and show us love.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here, brother. And of course, big shout out to Canadian Smoke. Says, Boom, been grinding for years. Props. Yeah, brother, I love this. I really do. And again, it's there's no success in YouTube. It's so loaded with talent. I'm not talking about like troll talent. I'm talking about people that actually love what they do. And it doesn't have to be about gaming. It's just YouTube gives you a platform to take the passion that you have for whatever it is. And again, for me, I have passion for film. I just don't have time to do a comic book film like content. I'm also a diehard G.I. Joe fan, and I love G.I. Joe Classified. I've been collecting G.I. Joe since the 80s. And they have a line that I wish I could talk about it. I buy everything. I own every figure, and I've supported every HasLab. Like they just dropped a Snowcat, which is $325, and my God, it looks so good. Holy! I had the original.
I used to love me some G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Oh my gosh! I wish I had the time, because I'd have a classified channel as well. It just there's not enough time in the day. But ladies and gentlemen, a big thank you. Well, thanks to Canadian Smoke for the kind words. Appreciate you being here, brother. And of course, a big thank you once again, folks. We don't have a show without you. Without people to actually tune in and subscribe and hit the like button, there isn't a show. So we are incredibly humbled and grateful for the support, not only for watching the show, but supporting the show financially with Super Chat, channel membership. It helps more than you could possibly imagine. We are going to be doing our annual Christmas in July later on in the month as we get closer to the 25th, because obviously that's Christmas in July. We're giving away 10 prize packs. Two of the 10 are grand prize packs. We are trying to figure out the money situation, and we'll break down what those prize packs are going to contain. They're all going to have actual gift cards. We just don't know the amount yet. And each one of them, I'm working with Ben Kenobi, who designs all the coins, to have at least 3 coins per prize pack. They're all going to be randomized. I don't know what they're going to be. We have a bunch of them here. We have Call of Duty, we have Avowed, we have Indiana Jones. We have a bunch of them, and I'm working with him to get a bunch of Doom coins to add to this as well. So, of course, when we'll give more specifics and details as we get closer to the end of July. Of course, I'm going to say a big thank you to everyone that tuned in today, and I'm going to close the show with something that's incredibly important to me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids, and he would say, "Craig, treat others how you want to be treated." And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.